Check your bank account right now. The number is fine, maybe better than fine, but something happens in your chest when you see it, something that does not match the number at all. A tightness, a quiet voice underneath everything, a feeling that this could disappear before you have time to actually enjoy it. And the strangest part? You have felt this for years, even as the number kept growing, even as the life around you kept getting more stable. That feeling has a name, and it did not start with your bank account. It started before you were old enough to have one. Most people assume this feeling is a money problem, that if they just earned more, saved more, invested smarter, the tightness would finally go away. So they do exactly that. They earn more, they save more, they build something real and solid, and the tightness stays. Because this was never about the number sitting in your account. This is about what your brain learned, very early, very quietly, before you had any say in the matter. There's a name for what you are carrying. Researchers call it a scarcity mindset. Not a character flaw, not ingratitude, not a failure to appreciate everything you have built. A scarcity mindset is what happens when your brain spends enough time in an environment of not enough, that it stops being able to fully believe in enough, even when enough is sitting directly in front of it. The brain does not automatically update when your circumstances change. It holds on to the operating system it built when survival was the only priority. And for people who grew up in financially uncertain homes, that operating system was built to be extremely good at detecting threat. The problem is, it never learned how to switch off. In 2013, economists Sendhil Mullainathan and Eldar Shafir published research that changed how scientists understand the relationship between poverty and the mind. They found that scarcity, financial scarcity specifically, does not just affect your resources, it physically affects your thinking. People operating under financial scarcity showed measurably reduced cognitive bandwidth, not because they were less capable, because their brain was already spending enormous mental energy just managing the scarcity itself. Here is what makes this directly relevant to you. That cognitive pattern, the one your brain built under financial pressure, does not disappear when the financial pressure lifts. The research showed it persists. Your brain built a high alert system, and high alert systems do not stand down just because circumstances change. Psychologist Edith Chen at Northwestern University spent years tracking one specific question. What does economic stress in childhood do to the body? Not just during childhood, but decades later. What she found was precise. People who experienced financial instability as children showed elevated cortisol baseline levels well into adult life, even when their adult circumstances were objectively stable, even when the account balance said, "You are safe now." The body had not received that message. There is a French sociologist named Pierre Bourdieu who spent his entire career studying one specific question. Why do people who escape poverty still think like people who have not escaped it? He called his answer habitus. Habitus is the invisible operating system your economic background installed in you, not through lectures, not through direct conversations about class, through thousands of small daily experiences that added up to a set of rules your brain accepted as simply how the world works. In a home where money was unpredictable, your brain quietly learned specific rules. Safety is temporary. Never assume it will last. Wanting expensive things is dangerous. Wanting leads to disappointment. The people who spend without thinking, they live in a different world from you. These rules were not wrong for the environment that created them. They were precision tools built for a specific reality. The problem is, habitus travels. It does not stay in the house where it was built. Habitus comes with you into the restaurant where you read the menu right to left, price before food. It comes with you into the meeting room where you instinctively take up less space than the people beside you. It comes with you into every moment when someone asks how you are doing financially, and something in you automatically understates it. This is not a personal quirk. This is what Bourdieu spent 30 years documenting across thousands of people. Your economic background does not just shape where you start, it shapes how you experience every room you ever walk into. You have probably seen this in yourself. You sit at a restaurant with colleagues. Everyone orders without glancing at the right side of the menu. You look at the right side first. You always look at the right side first. Not because you cannot afford what is on the left side, because your brain learned, before you ever had income, that the price is the first relevant piece of information. Everything else comes second. Or maybe it shows up differently. You buy something for yourself, something you genuinely wanted, genuinely needed, genuinely earned the right to have. And for the next 3 days, a quiet voice runs underneath everything. Was that the right decision? Should I have waited? What if something unexpected comes up next month? Not guilt, exactly. Something quieter than guilt. Something that does not have a clean name, but feels like you spent money that was not really yours to spend, even though it absolutely was yours. Or this one. Someone gives you something, a genuine gift, an unexpected generosity, a favor offered freely, and instead of simply receiving it, your brain immediately begins calculating. What do I owe now? When will this be called in? What does this person want in return? Because in the environment where your thinking was formed, generosity came with accounting attached. Gifts created debt. Favors created obligation. Nobody stated this out loud, but your nervous system learned it anyway. These are not personality flaws. These are fossils, evidence of an environment that no longer exists, still shaping every move you make inside one that does. Here is what every abundance mindset book, every financial coach, every positive thinking framework gets completely wrong about this. They treat it as a thought problem. Change your beliefs, visualize wealth, practice gratitude, rewire your mindset, as if the brain that built the system over years of real lived experience will dismantle it because you read the right book on a Sunday afternoon. It will not. Because what you are carrying is not a thought. It lives in your nervous system. It shows up as a cortisol baseline. It was built into your habitus before you had words for any of it. You cannot think your way out of a body-level adaptation. What you can do is understand it. And understanding is not the same as fixing. Understanding is recognizing that the alarm going off in your chest when you look at your bank account, that alarm was built for a reason. It was built in a house where financial threat was real, where watching the numbers carefully mattered, where staying alert kept things from falling apart. That alarm kept you moving. It kept the people you love safe. The problem is not the alarm. The problem is that the alarm does not know the environment has changed. Your nervous system is loyal, stubbornly, protectively loyal, to a version of reality it learned when you were far too young to question whether that reality was permanent. The feeling of still being poor when you are not, that is not a failure of mindset. That is loyalty to a system that once kept you alive. You are not someone who cannot enjoy what you have built. You are someone whose brain built one of the most sophisticated threat detection systems a human nervous system can develop, and then carried it faithfully, without complaint, into a life that no longer needs it in exactly the same way. The researchers who study this, Mullainathan, Bourdieu, the teams behind the ACE study, they do not describe what you carry as damage. They describe it as adaptation, a completely logical response to a specific environment. The environment changed, the adaptation did not. Yet. Yet is the most important word in that sentence. Seeing this clearly, not to excuse it, not to perform healing for anyone watching, but simply to understand where it actually came from, that is where the gap begins to close, between who your nervous system thinks you are and who you actually are right now. If this video gave you language for something you have been carrying for a long time, send it to someone who needs the words. The person you are thinking of right now, they need to hear this. And if this kind of content matters to you, psychology backed by real research, no toxic positivity, no recycled self-help advice, subscribe, because this channel exists specifically to go deeper into the experiences that most content refuses to take seriously. Next week, we go one layer further, because there is something even more specific than why you still feel poor. It is why the moment you start to genuinely feel safe, guilt shows up to take its place. We will see you there.